Hello, everyone. Tonight we are floating above Kyoto. Before the city stirs, before slippers hit tatami, before kettles hum or cicadas dare whisper. There's mist hanging low, like silk veils, barely shifting, and the sky above it, well, it isn't empty, it's painted. Not in oils or ink, but in real feathered clouds that roll and drift with the blush of sunrise. No planes, no tricks, no Photoshop. Just sky, and someone who seems to know how to whisper to it. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. Now, turn off the lights, maybe turn on the fan for some soft background music, and let's enjoy our evening ride together. You wouldn't think much of the man if you passed him on the street. He walks with a limp, slight but real, wears a gray haori over loose slacks, and carries an umbrella whether the sky is blue or boiling. His face is quiet, the kind that looks like it's been thinking a long time. And every morning, before the temple bells begin their slow chime, he steps barefoot out of a crooked wooden house tucked near a moss-covered wall in Kyoto's eastern district. No one knows his name, or rather, they do, but they don't use it. He's the Kumoe Oji-san, the cloud-painting old man. And this morning, like so many others, he does what he always does. He looks up. The sky isn't quite awake yet, a soft gray like old rice paper, just before it takes ink. He stretches, not like a man getting ready for exercise, but like a tree bending into breeze, and lifts the umbrella. Except it isn't open, and it isn't really an umbrella. It's a brush. You blink and swear you didn't see it change, but there it is, long, elegant, lacquered black with tufts of white at the tip. He holds it like a conductor's baton and waves it, slow and low, toward the horizon. The clouds respond. A trail of silver mist gathers from behind a hill, curling gently upward like steam from a pot. It doesn't rush. It saunters, meanders, slides into form the way a cat slinks into a sunbeam. He draws again, and the edge of it catches pale gold, a hue not unlike yuzu rind mixed with the soft cream of aging paper. The stroke continues upward in the air, though nothing touches it, and the color deepens. Pale lavender creeps along the edge. Somewhere, a crane calls, and he smiles. You notice that the houses nearby are still asleep. Wooden shutters closed, not a single car moves, not even a dog bark breaks the stillness. This moment, this sky, is his alone. Or so he thinks. There's a little girl watching him. You didn't see her at first, crouched beside a cluster of potted hydrangeas across the narrow stone street. Her chin is on her knees. Her backpack leans against her back like a small shell. She doesn't blink, not once. But she doesn't move either, not yet. He doesn't see her. Or if he does, he pretends not to. That's his way. The brush flicks left. A strand of coral pink curves outward and joins the others, blending into a thicker arc that mimics the shape of a sleeping dragon's spine. A second pass brings in silvery teal that dances along the base like morning dew clinging to spiderwebs. And you swear, though you know it's absurd, that a tiny patch of cloud winks. You feel it too, don't you? That pull. The kind of magic that doesn't glitter or crackle, but hums, like the sound of a match just before it lights. Except it doesn't burn. It soothes, lulls, invites you to lie down and watch it all slowly move across the sky. He finishes the piece the same way he always does, with a single breath. It's audible, not heavy, not tired, just full of everything. And as he lowers the brush, it folds back into the umbrella it never truly was. The clouds begin their drift, slow and shapeless now, heading westward like pilgrims. The colors stay for a while, fading gently, until the sky becomes just sky again. He turns and walks back into his home, sliding the paper door closed behind him. The sound is soft and final, like the last page of a book you've read 1,000 times and still love. And the girl? She still hasn't moved. But tomorrow she'll be there again. And the sky? The sky will be waiting too. The next morning, the girl comes earlier. Still in her school uniform, white blouse, navy skirt, that little red scarf tied too loose, she crouches behind the same cluster of hydrangeas. This time, though, she brings a piece of toast wrapped in tissue paper, careful not to crunch too loudly as she eats. Her shoes are dusty from the gravel path, but her eyes are clear, focused, and wide with something between curiosity and reverence. And yes, she's still completely unnoticed. At least that's what she tells herself. The old man emerges as usual, stepping softly onto the wooden porch like the world outside is delicate. He wears the same gray haori, same black slacks. That umbrella still rests in his hand, closed, quiet, hiding what it truly is beneath a disguise of the ordinary. His hair is silver, wispy, tied back with a piece of indigo string. If you didn't know better, you'd think he walked straight out of an old poem. But this time, the sky is different. It's moody, clouds already hanging low like heavy thoughts. No sunrise blush, just a quiet pewter hush that mutes everything. Even the temple bell sounds more distant. He steps into the lane and pauses. The girl holds her breath. Then something changes. He lifts his umbrella, but not toward the sky. He turns slightly, as if listening to a breeze no one else can hear. And then, just barely, he nods. At nothing. Or maybe to her. The brush unfolds. Today's stroke is different. It's slower, broader. A dark charcoal streak moves diagonally across the sky, and for a moment it looks like storm clouds are coming. But then he flicks the bristles upward and the gray curls into soft lavender, as though it had just been pretending to be something heavier. You almost hear it exhale. The girl's fingers clench around the crumpled tissue of her toast wrapper. She's watching him move not just with awe, but with intent, like she's memorizing, as if every curve and pause of the brush carries a secret she desperately wants to understand. Today, instead of a dragon's spine, the sky holds the shape of a mountain range, soft, distant. The colors are delicate, mauve and misty blue, rimmed with gold too thin to be real. Yet there it is, catching the light just as the first breeze of the day slips through. You'd think something like this, painting the sky, would come with a sense of spectacle, fireworks, thunder, maybe some cosmic whoosh. But no, it's quieter than tea steeping, and softer than sleep. After several more slow, deliberate motions, he completes the painting with a single dot of white, high and off-center. A moon? A lantern? A pearl? You don't know. He never explains. And then, once again, he exhales and lowers the brush. The umbrella clicks softly back into place. This time he does something new. He glances, very slightly, toward the hydrangeas. She ducks. Too late. His gaze lingers, not unkind, not surprised, just aware, as though he's always known someone was watching. And then he walks away, not toward his house, but down the lane, slow, steady, vanishing between buildings like smoke curling around old rooftops. The girl finally exhales, cheeks red, hands pressed into the gravel. She sits up. Her knees are stiff. There's a pebble stuck to her sock. But none of that matters, because today she saw him see her, and that changed everything. That afternoon the clouds shift slowly. They don't scatter like normal. Instead, they drift in place, soft, overlapping, layered. People on buses and scooters and tiny delivery bikes all look up a little longer than usual. Some even slow down. At a noodle shop, someone squints and says, "Doesn't that cloud look like a folded crane?" At the train station, a group of elderly women point and whisper. "He's painting again," one says with a smile. And the sky? It listens. When the girl gets home that evening, she draws. On math homework, on notebook margins, with a dull pencil and a worn-out eraser that's mostly smudges now, she sketches clouds with tails, curls, and eyes, tries to trace the same movements she saw that morning. They're clumsy, her drawings, but honest, hungry. She falls asleep with her cheek on the page. Outside, the real clouds begin to move again. And somewhere, under the silver-gray hush of Kyoto twilight, the painter stands beneath a crooked wooden awning, staring at a blank stretch of sky, brush in hand, waiting. The next morning brings light rain, just enough to beat on leaves and make the street glisten, not enough to cancel anything important. Kyoto smells like wet stone and camphor trees. Everything's quieter under the drizzle, like the world turned its volume down. Still, the girl is there, umbrella in hand, socks a little damp, hair frizzing slightly at the ends. She hides again, though, let's be real, it's less hiding now and more waiting. Openly. Hopefully. Behind her, the school bell hasn't rung yet. In her pocket, a half-melted chocolate and a paper crane she folded on the train. The cloud painter steps out at exactly the same time. He's slower today. There's something about the way he moves that feels different, like his bones are listening to the weather. The air's thick with quiet promise, the kind that says something important is about to happen, but it won't make a scene about it. When he opens the umbrella, no flourish, no announcement, it becomes immediately clear the sky is his again. A sweep of storm gray and a curl of cobalt. He tilts the brush slightly, and there, the clouds stretch, unfolding into something soft and arched, like wings tucked mid-motion. He pauses, then dots a pale gold near the edge. Sunlight peeking through? Or maybe memory? The girl gasps, softly. This time he hears it. He turns. Not a full turn, not dramatic, just enough. His eyes find hers behind the hydrangeas, soft, deep, almost amused. He raises an eyebrow. The rain hushes around them. "Come," he says. Or maybe he doesn't speak at all, but the message arrives all the same. So she does. There's no ceremony, no introductions. She simply steps out from behind the leaves and walks up beside him. He doesn't look at her. Doesn't have to. The sky is a language. They both seem willing to speak now. For a while, they stand like that, watching. And then, without asking, he hands her the umbrella. It's lighter than she expects, the handle worn smooth. Up close, the umbrella reveals itself more brush than frame. Dozens of tiny threads run through the spokes, soaked faintly with ink and something brighter. She looks at him. He nods. Just once. Heart hammering, she lifts the brush umbrella the way she's seen him do, elbow soft, wrist loose, and draws a line. It's not elegant. It wobbles, but it shimmers. A thread of translucent silver flickers into the clouds above, like mist catching morning light. She gasps again, but louder this time, laughs even. The sound startles a pigeon on the roof across the lane. He doesn't correct her. He doesn't take the brush back. Instead, he watches as she tries again. One line becomes two, then a swoop, a loop. Little by little, the sky ripples with movement, clumsy, sure, but alive. She paints a spiral that accidentally resembles a snail, then a crooked star. He steps in once, fixes the arc with a flick of his fingers, then steps back again. By the time the clouds are finished, the sky is a patchwork of her energy and his precision. It looks a bit like a dream remembering how to be a sky again. And in the middle of it all floats a lopsided shape, maybe a fox, maybe a cloud fox, curling its tail around a lantern. She doesn't say anything. Neither does he. Because what is there to say? Eventually, she lowers the umbrella. Her hands are shaking a little. He takes it back gently, recloses it like a secret folding into itself. Then, without warning, he reaches into the sleeve of his hayori and pulls something out, a small brush, real this time. Just wood and bristle, no umbrella spokes, no sky thread. He holds it out. She blinks, then takes it. Just like that, something invisible is passed between them. The rain slows. The clouds shimmer faintly above Kyoto's rooftops, stitched together by a girl who thought she was watching and a man who had always known she was there. They part with no words. The school bell rings in the distance. And as she runs, late but full of something brighter than time, she glances back. He's still standing there, brush in hand, watching the clouds drift gently into themselves, as if he were simply making room.
The days that follow stretch like golden thread. Every afternoon, rain or shine, she appears beneath the camphor trees at the corner of the painter's rooftop. The seasons begin to warm, petals loosen from their stems, drifting down in slow spirals. Kyoto sighs into late spring. The cloud painter no longer pretends not to see her. He expects her now. Sometimes, when the clouds are particularly restless, he's already waiting, umbrella extended toward the sky like a conductor readying an orchestra. She joins him quietly. No words, only nods, glances, gestures, and clouds. Together they paint. At first, she's cautious. Every stroke is tentative, like she's afraid to disrupt the sky's natural order. But slowly, so slowly, it almost sneaks up on her. Something shifts. Her hands stop trembling. Her lines stop apologizing. She begins to swirl pigment across the sky with something close to playfulness. A curl here, a tail there. Little foxes chase across the cumulus. Lanterns dangle from drifting cloud branches. The city watches, confused and a little enchanted. Kyoto is old, but she still notices when the sky looks different. People start looking up more. Some call it magic. Others think it's a new festival no one told them about. Children point and laugh. Tourists snap photos and whisper legends into their phones. But neither the girl nor the painter are concerned with interpretation. They're busy chasing light. By the third week, she brings her own brush. Not an umbrella this time, but one she made herself. Bristles from her father's calligraphy tools. A handle carved from driftwood she found by the river. It's crude, a little uneven, but it fits her hand perfectly. The cloud painter examines it, turns it once, nods. He dips it into the umbrella's reservoir. Yes, there's a reservoir now, hidden in the spokes like an inkstone disguised as rain, and hands it back. She doesn't ask where he gets the colors. They shift in the light. Copper, lavender, rainwater blue. She simply accepts them. They begin painting layered scenes. Gentle mountains rippling across the sky, stitched with clouds shaped like koi and cranes. She tries painting her cat one day, fails spectacularly, but the painter just chuckles, a sound like dry leaves turning, and helps her reshape it into something else, something better. Sometimes they spend hours without a single cloud touching the real sky. The day remains blank canvas, sun sharp, air still. But they continue anyway. The clouds they craft hang invisibly, felt more than seen, like brushstrokes hiding beneath paper. One day, she brings a lunchbox. 2, actually. Miso rice triangles, pickled plum, and green tea sweets. He stares at it like it's the first real food he's seen in 100 years.
Maybe it is. They eat in silence. The rooftop tiles are warm. A cloud drifts overhead, unpainted, lazily shaped like a sleeping dragon. He nods toward it. She raises her brush and adds whiskers. It's not just the painting. It's the presence. The act of being seen, of being invited. She asks about him once, just once. Where he learned this, why he paints the clouds, why he never speaks unless absolutely necessary. He looks at her, really looks, and just shrugs. As if to say, I was here before you. I'll be here after. And somehow, she understands. She stops asking. Because sometimes the answer isn't a story, it's a sky full of fox-shaped clouds glowing at sunset. By the end of April, Kyoto has grown brighter, lighter, less weighed down by its own memory. The old houses sigh less. The vending machines hum with more patience. Even the river seems to glide more gently beneath its bridges. She begins painting solo. Some afternoons she arrives early. He's not there. So she opens her brush, dips it into a leftover puddle of iridescence on the umbrella, because somehow there always is, and begins. It feels natural. Right. She paints 3 lanterns one day, all different sizes, all drifting upward from a single fox's tail. She doesn't know it, but from a dozen balconies across town, people are watching. Breath held. He arrives later, sees what she's done, says nothing. But he adds one final touch. A string between the lanterns, delicate as hair, almost invisible. Connection. She smiles. There's a rhythm to this now, a pulse, a silent language that pulses between them like wind. She paints, he refines. He begins, she finishes. The clouds respond in kind, changing more slowly now, holding their shapes longer, as if they too want to savor this. And through it all, the quiet grows deeper. Not emptier, but fuller. The kind of quiet that holds everything. It happens on a Tuesday. No clouds. No painter. She waits a while. An hour, maybe 2. Long enough for the sunlight to sharpen into something unfriendly. Long enough for the tiles beneath her to go from comfortably warm to awkwardly hot. Still no one. The rooftop feels different without him. Bigger. Emptier. Less like a studio. More like a waiting room where no one tells you what you're waiting for. She doesn't panic exactly. She just starts brushing strokes in the air anyway. Hollow, dry, invisible. The colors don't come. There's no pigment in her bristles. No copper shimmer, no lavender sheen, no breath of sky blue. Just the sound of a brush swishing through nothing. And somehow she knows. He's gone. No note, no sign. No special cloud shape left behind. Just gone. She sits there longer than she needs to. Long enough for the light to soften again. Long enough for the sky to blush at its own emptiness. She presses her hand to the rooftop tiles, half expecting some lingering warmth from his shadow. Nothing. The days that follow feel slow and damp. Kyoto slips into that moody lull between seasons. Rain that doesn't fall, air that never moves. She checks the rooftop daily, even when she tells herself not to. Her brush stays packed. She doesn't want to use it anymore. But the city remembers. One morning, a child tugs her sleeve near the train station, points upward. Look! A bird made of fog! She looks up. There it is. A heron-shaped cloud, elegant, mid-flight, one long trailing leg. The wind catches it just right and it shivers slightly before drifting north. She doesn't paint it. She just watches. 2 days later, she swears she sees a koi fish ripple through the dust clouds, tail curved, golden underbelly catching fire in the last light. She almost smiles. A week later, she finally returns to the rooftop. It's dusty. The umbrella's gone. But she's brought her own. Not his, never his. Hers. Still a little crooked, still homemade, but hers. She closes her eyes, takes a slow breath, and lifts her brush. The sky greets her like an old friend. Quiet, open, ready. And this time, the pigment comes. Soft at first, faint as a whisper, but it builds. Streaks of silver and plum. A gentle teal, the color of dreams you barely remember. She doesn't force the shapes, just lets the strokes emerge on their own. A ribbon. A foxtail. A lantern, slowly rising. By dusk, the city is glowing again. Kyoto doesn't ask questions. It never did. It only ever observed, remembered, accepted. People notice, of course. They always do. But they no longer wonder where the clouds come from. They know now. Somewhere, high above the temples and alleys and quiet canals, the sky is being painted. Not with weather, but with memory, with presence. She paints more freely now. Alone, yes, but not lonely. She talks to the sky sometimes while she works. Nothing dramatic, just little comments, bits of gossip, thoughts on colors and rice crackers, and the annoying way her cat refuses to learn its name. She swears the clouds respond, swirl a little differently, brighten just so. Maybe it's wishful thinking. Maybe not. One evening in early summer, she sees something new. A cloud. A strange one, unlike any she's made before, forming in the distance. It doesn't move like the others. It shimmers, even in twilight. Gold flecks at the edges. A shape not quite familiar. She squints. There. A figure. Tall. Silhouetted. Holding something above his head. An umbrella. But just for a moment. It blinks out in the breeze, swallowed by wind and light. She doesn't chase it. She lowers her brush. Smiles. The sky is wide. Too wide for one painter, even a silent one. But maybe that was the point all along. Maybe some clouds are meant to disappear. She stays a little longer on the rooftop. Not to paint, just to feel the air against her arms, the hush of the city below, the soft, slow music of lives continuing. And when she finally climbs down, she walks with a little paint still clinging to her fingers, just in case. The cloud painter of Kyoto was never really about the clouds. It was about the spaces in between, the stillness, the soft, slow blooming of connection between two people who didn't need words to understand each other. A quiet girl with a crooked brush and a silent man with skies in his hands. Together, they crafted moments too fragile to explain. Foxes chasing through clouds, lanterns rising in invisible wind, koi gliding across dusk like whispers. They never claimed the sky. They borrowed it, gently. And then, one day, he was gone. But absence doesn't erase presence. She learned to paint without him, though maybe not alone, because his shapes lingered. His silences had weight. His umbrella may have vanished, but the reservoir of color, of memory, remained. Somewhere, somehow. Kyoto never questioned it. The city, like the girl, knew that not all beauty has origin stories. Some simply arrive and stay as long as they're needed. So now when clouds gather over rooftops and children point at dancing cranes in the sky, no one asks where they came from. They just look, just wonder, just smile. And in the quietest corners of the sky, if you look very carefully, you might catch the curl of a foxtail or the glint of a painted lantern still drifting upward. And that, dear listener, is enough